What's up, guys and gals? And though the catch-up month of April is officially drawn to a close, we did extremely well in almost every series except for this one. We just didn't quite meet that deadline. However, we are now officially only 3 chapters behind. Chapter 102 has officially dropped from what I understand. So with this one, we're only going to be a chapter or 2 behind. And yeah, either way, thank you guys for all the views and stuff like that. All the view count was actually more than expected for all these much older chapters and these reviews and stuff like that, these finished off series. So I definitely appreciate that. Either way, let's get into chapter 100 because, okay, once again, I knew Jack, if anything else, I knew Jack would be on my side with this. All right? We'll go through the chapter this time. But let me tell you, he's not wrong. It was how I said, how dare he? And Jack used the word unacceptable. Another good word choice. Another good word choice. But anyways, we're actually now into the thick of the fight here. So, we have Loki's obviously able to summon clones. They're obviously mindless clones, but they seemingly have a lot of strength, a lot of power. And here we're actually going to get into it when we get about midway through the chapter where Loki explains his ability. I want to talk about that a little bit because how powerful are these copies? How powerful are these clones? They're not illusions. They're literal copies. But how much strength do they actually possess? So, anyways, we're going to get into that. So they rush it. Heimdall, for some reason, immediately thinks like, well, a 4v1, that seems unfair, but I'm going to allow it because my bones are telling me so. I thought this was really clunky, really dumb dialogue, to be honest with you. It was like, it's clearly just an ability of Loki. So the fact that he had this whole like panel to himself to basically say, it's 4v1, that's cheating. Except I'm pretty sure it's not, so we're going to allow it. It's like, we did not need that. It just felt kind of weird. Anyway, so everyone's fighting, everyone's going on and stuff like that. Simo is sitting there cool as a cucumber. Simo's there just sitting cool as a cucumber, just with his rifle, and he's ready to go. They're moving towards him. Shiva and Aphrodite are there. They're just like, oh, wow, this is interesting and stuff. So clearly a lot of them didn't realize or didn't know about Loki's abilities or Loki's powers, right? The gods aren't sure. The humanity, obviously humanity's not sure, but all the gods in the crowd aren't sure. And it's crazy. And we see Thor is obviously quite powerful here. He is charging up his Mjolnir. It is cutting down trees with ease. You know, Heracles is also managing to like brush aside multiple parts of the forest with ease and stuff. So we'll get to this, but what's the strength level of these copies? So they said that they're charging forward with overwhelming power. They don't seem to be illusions, yada, yada, yada. Now, Ares is doing it a little, it's Ares, but he is the first one, like, Heracles! And it's like, yeah, Heracles. What the fuck? Like, Ares, go kick Loki's ass. I don't care who does it, but he needs to be accountable for pulling this shit. And this is where, what is her name? The Valkyrie sister, Halak? Or whatever. The one for Jack is watching on the TV in Jack's room. And it's like, wait a second, 4v1, that's got to be against the rules. And not to mention, and then she's like, this is cheating sort of idea. And then she's like, and Heracles, she doesn't even getting out. And Jack has this dark, like Shadow the Hedgehog, like if Ki in Dragon Ball Z had like a black version, you know, like this black aura going around it. And no, not Goku Black. That man is not black. You heard it here from Trunks. Trunks first, me second. But yeah, he's got this like ominous, like glowing aura. He's sitting there calmly, but it's just filling up the room and he's pissed. And he's just like, no, that's unacceptable. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Loki needs right here is where he needs it. Or actually, like the obvious shot is the kill shot. Right here, right between the brows. But I wonder, you know, that'd be almost too easy. What about a shot like we learn later on that it's his gloves and his fingertips and stuff? What if he blows his hands off instead? You know what I mean? Like, that almost, to me, would work more poetically. The fact that, no, I just took from you the power to do what you just did. Because that is unacceptable. I said, how dare he? Jack says unacceptable. We are on the same goddamn page. Which, am I nuts? Because am I on the same page with Jack the motherfucking Ripper? Yeah. There's nothing there that a shrink won't look at. Anyways, moving on. So we actually get to the meat and potatoes of the fight for this chapter anyways. You know, they're all like, oh, they're rushing forward. There's going to be nowhere to hide soon and stuff. It's like, and they have all these, like, as I said last chapter, they have these robot birds. They have these robot animals. They have all these cameras all over this winter field. But he manages to, like, just vanish like a ghost. And I'm like, this is really cool. I like this. So it's like, what? Our cameras can't keep up with how he's able to slink in and out of motion. Like, the man just got that sixth sense. I like that. I like that he can do that. That it's not just impressive, but I expect it. You know what I mean? This is the greatest sniper in the world. Once you know his location, he slithers out and moves to another one. I mean, that's just what these guys do, right? So I really enjoyed that aspect. They're searching all over for him. They can't find him. Once again, this information is not going to Loki. So it's not unfair, but it's like we don't even, like the audience, we don't know where he ended up and where he's looking, you know? So Loki's not unimpressed. He's like, yeah, I kind of expected that. And he's like, well then, how about this? And he pulls out a ring and he puts it on his, of course, his wedding, you know, ring finger, though it is, if I look at it this way. Yeah, it's quite literally his left hand. He puts it on his marriage finger, right? So he puts it on his vow finger and he puts that on, like, in almost the sense of being married. I don't know. There's probably some significance with his obsession with Brunhilde and all this shit that he put the ring on specifically onto that finger, but is what it is. Anyways, he puts this on and then he increases the numbers. This black mist rolls around. It just covers like a whole section of the town and stuff. And Heracles, Odin, and Thor end up like multiplying. It's like Karibo style. They start multiplying and shit. And it's just like, what the hell? 20, 50, 100 of each of them. And it's just this massive amount of them. There's too many. Can't even keep count. And it's like, you know, okay, this is nuts. So now it's not a 4v1. It's like, and how powerful are these guys? So anyways, they go forth to basically tear down the entire area. Like, there will be no spot left to hide because we're just going to flatten it with these powerhouses going forward, right? So this massive army of the three gods goes forth and they're laying waste to everything. We have the crowd basically saying we have no idea what's actually going on, but there's no way he's going to be able to hide for very much longer if this continues. Loki ends up summoning himself a little megaphone and starts taunting Simo, right? And basically says, you know, are you frightened? Not nearly frightened enough. You know, and says, like, basically, you might be really good at hide and seek, but so am I. Now, by the way, since there's nowhere to run, and I'm going to find you, too bad, so sad. But you know what? I'm a generous executioner. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the nightmare I just put on you. You know, we should make this a little fair. He's like, I'm going to explain how my ability works. You know, it's the Ring of the Jester, which means it's the power to copy anything in creation. So it seems like he touches anything with one hand, which seems to be his right hand. Anything he touches with his right hand, and the ability of the fingertips of his left hand are able to touch and memorize it, store it. And with this, he's able to recreate it out of the left hand. So the right hand analyzes it, stores it, all that stuff, and then the left hand manages to... It's really kind of confusing here because the way they're using, like, this is the power of the sealed one, this is the power of the seed of trickery, and the explanation ain't great. I'm not sure if his gloves or his palms work differently. Like, does he need to touch them? Because he talks about these different stages of it, but it's very strange. Like, does he need to touch it with the right hand to copy and store it, and the left hand manifests? Or is there anything he has to do with the right hand? or is it all in the left hand? Like, it's sort of, the way I first read it was he has to touch them with the right hand, and he can summon it with the left. The problem with that is that he literally, just because of the panels, the illustrations don't lead me to believe that, because he literally grabs the squirrel, holds it in his hand, talks like he's doing something with his right hand, but then he goes with the left hand, touches the squirrel with his left hand, and then summons it with his left hand. So did he need to do the touching motion to begin with? Was that just artistic choice? Because I think it's a little confusing. Is the left doing all the work? Or is the right hand a part of the equation? Little confusing. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe it's explained in the next chapter or in 102. Who knows? But anyways, yeah. So he summons it, and he generates and recreates anything he has ever stored. Objects, humans, gods. I can recreate anything I've touched. And we see that he touched Thor with the left hand for sure. But with Heracles, it was the right hand. So this is where I'm getting a little confused. Like, just the way he explained and the motions he was using, I'm pretty sure he can... One hand doesn't do anything different. He basically, with both hands, as long as he touches whatever he wants, he can recreate it in the other palm. I'm taking that because we see him touch Heracles, Odin, and Thor with different hands. But he's able to recreate all three of them. So, I don't know. I'm just going to go off on a limb there, and say that, yeah, it was just artistic choice, but it was kind of confusing when he was talking the seed of trickery and the sealed one and stuff. It's like, why not just say, with the palm of my right, I can do this, and then with the palm of my left, I do that, But anyways, then he goes on to say that the ring that he put on is a sacred treasure that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but it's the ring of something, something, prolification, something, something, Andrandrandran, and it basically is able to increase his already kind of broken ability, where he normally can only create up to about 5 copies at once. Now, this isn't specified whether it's 5 copies of one thing. Like, if he recreated, like, he's got Odin, Thor, and Heracles, of course. It's not really explained well whether he means he can only make 5 copies of Odin, 5 copies of Thor, and 5 copies of Heracles without the ring, or can he only make 5 copies total, right? Excuse me. Because he's only made now 4 copies before he put on the ring. Well, he actually already has the ring on, so it's fine. He didn't do that before he put on the ring, so we have no indication on exactly what does that mean. Does it mean he can only make 5 things? He can only recreate 5 things, or he can only make 5 copies of one thing 5 times, right? So, anyways, the semantics so far don't matter in this chapter and in this fight. It might matter later. That's why I'm bringing it up now. I think that the explanations are really lackluster for the explanation side. Could be a translation thing, or it could just be poor explanation writing in the original Japanese. Who knows? But yeah, so he's able to basically make an army of these guys, is what he's saying. Now, that's where he starts to taunt even further and saying, there is no way for you to do this. In the truth, it is so advantageous for me. I can just keep attacking you with numbers. You'll see, it'll be a fair hunt for both of us. Don't you agree, Mr. Sniper and stuff? And he's trying to taunt him and says, but as I increase their numbers, more power gets distributed. That's the weak point, I guess. I forget I said that. I like to talk too much. Oh dear, my bad. Now, Hermes immediately knows that something's up. Ares is the only one who falls for this. It's like, no, that was not a blunder. That was a calculated mistake, but it wasn't actually a mistake. As I said, this is where I'm curious about the power output, because I find it very difficult to believe that Thor, Odin, and Heracles can be completely recreated with their entire power intact. There must be some type of limitation. Probably, my theory currently is it's based on Loki's own power. And we'll get an explanation for that in a minute, after Hermes and Zeus basically talk about the fact that he let that slip on purpose to sort of lead Simo into a false sense of security. And it's confirmed to be correct. We don't have to wait another chapter. It's confirmed to be correct right here, saying there was a subtle lie in this, is that his ability to input and output, and the fact that the individual's power weakens as the number of copies increases, is true. You know what I mean? It's literally Dragon Ball Z. It's the multiform technique. With every copy, your power is, halved. It's like, okay, so this is tried and true. This is not a new ability whatsoever or power distribution whatsoever in manga. But, as you said, he can decide which one to give the ability to. So as you said, he can make, it's like, okay, I can evenly distribute, but I can decide to say, okay, I'm going to distribute 1/16 of power amongst these many, but then I'm going to give like a quarter of the power to this specific one, and there's no indication of which one it is, right? Okay, so that's very interesting, right? He's able to split his power, and it seems like using the panel that we're given, he's got a glass. He's got oh my god, I was going to, what is it? A beaker, right? And he's got this thing, right? And or measuring cup, whatever. But it looks more like a beaker. So he's got a beaker, and it's like, this is the amount of power that's in here. I assume this is based on Loki's own, I don't know, mana amount of power that he actually possesses, and he can distribute that amongst all his copies. That's what I'm going to be led to believe, because here he gave a crap ton to a Thor copy. They all went forth. They can all still knock down trees and do all this stuff. The idea is that it'll either lead Simon into a false sense of security against this army if he manages to take out the weak ones. If he happens to attack the strong one, and it'll put him on a like immense pressure on him. So he's either false sense of security or pressure. It's a good strategy. It does work. It makes sense. But then Simon completely just goes, Loki thinks he's already got this in the bag. He's all high on himself, and boom, here comes a shot. A beautiful white light, one bullet that bursts into a flower flurry. It bloomed like countless flowers. Senbon Zakura, Kaguya. Sorry, wrong series. But yeah, he ends up launching against all of these copies, and one bullet takes them all out. And I mean ends them, kills them all. Even as Loki admits, because the ring that he put on is actually like starting to like and create this black mist and stuff. Even Thor's reinforced copy was destroyed. Now, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and once again say I don't think that, especially Odin, but Thor and Heracles as well, I am not going to be led to believe that Simon could take out Thor if this was truly Thor. If this was the actual Thor right there, this one bullet, this one attack would not be able to kill him in one shot. I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say the same thing for no matter how much power he gave his Odin clones. The real Odin couldn't be taken out like that. So I don't know if there's anybody in the community who thinks that Loki can make a pure copy that's as powerful as Thor. I don't think so. I think Loki can only create powerful copies, but if they're stronger than he is, he obviously can't use his own mana reserves. Like, they're the ones who showed the beaker, like, there's a limited amount of power that he can give to his copies. I assume that that's based on his own whatever arbitrary number that Loki currently has. And if that number is 1,000, but Odin's actual power is 10,000, the most that the Odin copy that Loki can create is only 1,000 or 999, assuming he needs to keep 1 point for himself. If we're using the math on this one, that's what I'm talking about, because otherwise this is really, really broken on both sides, and Simon should have went up against Zeus by this logic. You know what I mean? Fire, done. You know what I mean? So I'm really going on the limb here and saying that these guys are mindless brutes and berserkers, but they're not even half as strong as the real gods, reinforced or not. As I said, I don't know if there's an argument right now in the community about that power scaling wise, but I just wanted to clear it up on my opinion here, because I was just like, no, there's no way. As badass as it was, and it is, this flower bullet is amazing. It's so cool, it's so badass. Put Loki in his goddamn place, that's what I'm asking for anyways. But it is a lot of disrespect to Thor, Heracles, and Odin that they all got taken out, all these copies, and a reinforced one got taken out that supposedly he can recreate anything. Well, you can't recreate power that you can't fathom or understand. It would be my logic there, right? So, anyways, they're all looking on. You know, we have Shiva, we have Zeus, we have Aphrodite, we have Jack, we have Buddha, we have everybody. Even Thor. We finally see the real Thor again, and he's just there patiently. Got Mjolnir sitting on his throne, just watching. Stone-faced. And he's like, so he's not threatened by this whatsoever. And then the entire army is taken out with one bullet. And Loki's just like, so that's what Brunhild is doing this to me? You know, and it's apparently called Anti-God Sniping Profusion of Flowers. And I'm like, alright, that's a pretty cool name for an attack. Profusion of Flowers. I'm like, nice attack. Though he ends up coughing up blood, and he says one at the end of the chapter, as in he's fired one, I assume one bullet. And there's obviously some, is it the Valkyrie ability? Like, he's got some detriment. He's able to do this insane flower of bullets, but it's detrimental to its user. Okay. Let's explore this. Let's see what's going to happen. I find it very interesting. Why is he coughing up blood or something? Or is his inhuman level of sniping? Once again, we've seen this time and time again. Like, a human body cannot take this type of... We saw it with Adam. We've seen it with other characters. They cannot handle the burden of this shit. Even with a Valkyrie. Like, it's too much weight for the human body to maintain when you step into the realm of the gods, like Okita did and stuff like that. Your power, like, there is human limit, and when you surpass that, the human body can't maintain it and it'll start to break down. Are we seeing that again here? That'd be really interesting. So it means he only has so many shots he can fire, so he actually has to end this quickly. I'd be good with that. I'd be good if in like 2 more chapters this was over. It would be hilarious to me if chapter 102 was the end of the fight. And we actually had, and not like a cliffhanger, somebody won. No. I mean title cards. I mean the title cards. 6 minutes and 11 seconds, you know what I mean? The battle's over. You know? I would be amazed by that, because it seems like this has to be whoever gets the first hit is going to win. Because it's all attack power and hide and seek on Simo's part. And it seems to be a hide and seek sort of massive army side on Loki's part, deception part. It's whoever strikes first and gets a clean hit, it's probably going to be the victor. This is not going to be a slugfest, which is going to be really interesting, I find, amongst all the fights. And everyone was waiting for this fight because it's obviously going to be this long-range battle. It's going to be more deceptive. It's going to be more trickery. And I think this does work. So, chapter 100, quite a good chapter to, be a milestone chapter. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Were you also confused by the exact in and outs of Loki's gloves? Doesn't matter which hand he touches with and stuff like that. What does he mean by the seed of trickery and the sealed fate and all this stuff? Does that have anything to do with it? He says these words, but it's like, I copy with a hand and I manifest with a hand. So what are these words? I don't know. Anyways, but other than that, no, the actual choreography and everything was very, very interesting. Of course, as Jack said, it is unacceptable that Loki had the balls and the nerve to summon Heracles. The whole crowd's like, that's going too far, you know. And I'm just waiting for Loki to get his comeuppance for pulling that stunt. So, anyways, that's it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Like, comment, and subscribe. We have one more chapter till we were officially caught up, and now we have 2 more to get through to get fully caught up. I expect to get both of those out within the next week or so. So, stay tuned for chapter 101 and now 102 till we're finally caught up, and then we wait like the rest of you for chapter 103. Looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Have a good one. See ya.